Sometimes the smallest details on everyday objects hide the most interesting stories. There's a feature on certain watches that people notice all the time, yet rarely think about. A rotating ring lined with numbers. It looks simple, almost decorative, but there's a reason it exists, and it goes far beyond style. For decades, this design has quietly helped people measure time in situations where precision mattered more than convenience. And understanding it changes how you see watches forever. So why do some watches have a rotating ring with numbers? And what was it really designed to do? Stay with me as we uncover the purpose behind this overlooked feature, right here, on History of Simple Things. The rotating ring on a watch is called a bezel, specifically a rotating bezel when it can move. It sits around the crystal, framing the watch face, and in many cases it's marked with numbers that represent minutes. While some bezels are fixed and purely decorative, rotating bezels are designed to perform a function. On most models, especially dive watches, the numbers run from 0 to 60, essentially turning the bezel into a simple external timer. By rotating it, the wearer can align a marker with the minute hand and track how much time has passed without doing any mental math. It's a surprisingly low-tech solution, but that simplicity is exactly what makes it reliable and easy to use in demanding situations. The rotating bezel was originally created for divers, and its purpose was extremely serious. When scuba diving, your air supply is limited, and staying underwater too long can be dangerous. Before digital dive computers existed, divers needed a way to track how long they had been underwater at a glance. The rotating bezel solved that problem. By aligning the 0 marker on the bezel with the minute hand at the start of a dive, the watch instantly becomes a timer. As the minute hand moves, the bezel shows how much time has passed. This allowed divers to monitor their oxygen usage and avoid exceeding safe limits, making the rotating bezel not just useful, but essential for underwater safety. If you've ever tried rotating the bezel on a dive watch, you might notice something strange. It usually only turns in one direction. That's not a design quirk, it's a deliberate safety feature. Dive bezels are typically unidirectional, meaning they only rotate counterclockwise. This ensures that if the bezel is accidentally knocked or moved, it will only indicate that more time has passed, not less. In practical terms, that means a diver might think they've been underwater longer than they actually have, prompting them to surface earlier. The opposite scenario, thinking you have more time than you do, could be dangerous. This one-direction design acts as a built-in fail-safe, prioritizing caution over precision. Using a rotating bezel is straightforward, which is part of its brilliance. To start timing something, you simply rotate the bezel so that the 0 marker lines up with the current position of the minute hand. From that moment on, the bezel tracks elapsed time. If the minute hand points to the 20-minute mark on the bezel, then 20 minutes have passed since you set it. There's no need to remember start times or calculate differences. It's all visual. This simplicity made it incredibly useful, not just underwater, but in any situation where quick, reliable timing is needed. It turns a regular watch into a tool that can measure time intervals instantly, with nothing more than a glance. Although rotating bezels were invented for diving, they didn't stay limited to that world. Over time, different types of bezels were developed for different purposes. Some watches use a tachymeter bezel to measure speed based on time and distance, often used in racing. Others feature a GMT bezel, which works with an extra hand to track a second time zone. Even the standard dive bezel found its way into everyday life, where it can be used to time cooking, workouts, parking meters, or anything else that requires tracking minutes. What started as a specialized survival tool eventually became a versatile feature that adds practical functionality to everyday watches. With smartphones, digital watches, and advanced dive computers available, you might wonder why rotating bezels are still around. The answer comes down to reliability and simplicity. A rotating bezel doesn't need batteries, software, or connectivity. It works instantly, under any conditions, whether you're underwater, in the dark, or in extreme environments. It's also intuitive. Once you understand it, you can use it without thinking. Beyond practicality, it has also become part of watch culture. The rotating bezel signals that a watch is more than just an accessory. It's a tool with a purpose. Even if most people never use it for diving, the feature remains because it represents a design that solved a real problem in a remarkably effective way. That rotating ring with numbers isn't just a decorative detail. It's a piece of functional history sitting right on your wrist. It started as a life-saving tool for divers who needed a simple, dependable way to measure time in dangerous conditions. What makes it stand out isn't complexity, but clarity. It's a reminder that sometimes the most effective designs are the simplest ones, the kind that don't rely on technology, updates, or power, just thoughtful engineering. And once you see it that way, it's hard to look at that spinning ring as just a design choice ever again. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.